starts tomorrow at the Nasrec Expo Centre south of Johannesburg, and more than 3,500 delegates will be deliberating policies plus engaging on the state of the party ahead of the main event. And for a preview of the conference, we are now joined by ANC National Spokesperson Zizi Kodwa. Thank you very much for joining us.
As always, thank you very much. Morning.
So first of all, you must be pleased with the outcome in Mogale City, the ANC regaining control.
Well, we are pleased everywhere. You would have noticed that since the 3rd of August local government elections, literally the ANC has won all the by-elections, particularly where the ANC has been controlled. We've retained all those wards. But most interestingly, we've won 2 wards since the 3rd of August from the DA in the Western Cape in the area of George. So we're quite confident that we're beginning to regain the lost ground and reclaim the lost ground. But people continue to bestow their confidence in the African National Congress.
All right. Okay, so the 5th Policy Conference should start. It's starting tomorrow. What can we expect?
We can only expect an opportunity for the African National Congress, among others, an opportunity to self-correct. Because this is an opportunity of the first 2 days, which have been set aside to discuss the health of the organization, the challenges faced the African National Congress. Because even if we were to talk about the policies first, you need a strong African National Congress. And we need to look at what is the state of the ANC today. What kind of an ANC you need in order to implement the policies that must be implemented. So we'll have 2 days set aside just to discuss the health of the African National Congress with all the challenges. But we think that the challenges that we face today are not insurmountable, and therefore our view is that the African National Congress must and will emerge out of the policy conference more stronger, united, focused and capable enough to lead the people of South Africa.
Right. We'll talk about the state of the party just now, but as policies go, many people feel that it's not the policies that are a problem, but actually what you have done with those policies over time. Let's just have a quick listen now to an analyst, Somadode Fikeni.
This country has seen RDP, it has seen GEAR, it has seen ASGISA, GIPSA, New Growth Path, it has seen PAKISA, EPAP, it has seen now the new development plan, which hardly anyone is talking about in these political statements and campaigns. So policies in South Africa do not die, they fade away. And if we had any museum of policies, you'd see them hanging there, some of them having not been tested, implemented, and their impact analyzed.
So, your thoughts on that? Because it's not the policies that are problematic. I don't think anyone has ever said that ANC policies are a problem. It's implementing them. So you can spend 3 days, 4 days discussing, but at the end of the day, it's what you do with them. And as we've just heard there, they could be in a museum gathering dust.
The policies are not relevant until they respond to existing material conditions. The policies we adopted in Mangaung in 2012, some of them might not be relevant in today's material conditions. That's why policies in themselves are always a subject of a review. To respond, for an example, this week we're celebrating the 62nd anniversary of the Freedom Charter. The policies of today, the question we must ask as we gather tomorrow in Nasrec, to what an extent have we addressed the aspirations of the people of the Freedom Charter? Secondly, to what an extent have we addressed the aspirations in terms of the triple challenge of inequality, poverty and unemployment? So policies of the African National Congress must, among others, appreciating the fact that we have made a progress to change South Africa to what it is today. But there are a number of challenges we face, unemployment particularly among the youth. So our policies as we speak today must respond directly to that issue. Inequality, the existing gap between the rich and the poor, ever increasing that gap, but at the same time inequality. That's why we're talking about issues of radical economic transformation. Our policies must respond. This is the current material conditions. So policies themselves are always a subject of review to respond to material conditions. That's why in the African National Congress, the certainty you have is that every 5 years, we will review our policies because in themselves, they must respond to the challenges faced by the people.
I'm going to leave it because of time, but state capture, is that going to be discussed in the 2 days preceding the policy agenda? Because I would say that the emails, the outer document that's come through speaks directly to the state of the party if people can't trust that you're not corrupt-free.
We have an item tomorrow called a diagnostic report. Ordinarily, the NEC does not present an organizational report to the policy conference. But the NEC felt that the Secretary General must present a diagnostic which, among others, must talk to objective and subjective factors in which the organization faced today since we ascended to power. And therefore, among others, it will raise some of the current issues, whether it's the issues of factionalism in the organization, gatekeeping, the state of the branch of the African National Congress, the influence of money. Some of those issues we spoke about at the NGC in 2015. We'll talk about some of these current issues. We will talk about issues of allegations of state capture. At the heart of these allegations is the integrity and the credibility of a democratic state. That's why, in our view, we never dismiss them. We said perhaps we need to establish the veracity. We're happy that there is a process now, as announced by the President last week, that the President intends to appoint a commission of inquiry. Because within all these allegations, there's got to be a credible process within which everybody can then present evidence.
But so some of your members have already said they're true.
No. There's no doubt about it. We also say it's good that a number of our comrades, including ministers, have confirmed that indeed some of these emails are true.
So what are the consequences of that?
No, the consequence of that, as a law-based society, a rule of law, it's important that we must allow everybody else, because it's not that there are one or two people who have confirmed. Everybody else must be given an opportunity, including the outer. They must be strong enough and bold enough to present that evidence before a credible judicial commission, so that we must understand the depth of these allegations of a democratic state.
Are you doing the investigations yourself?
No, not as the ANC, but with the ANC, of course, you appreciate that when the discussion, the debate about state capture started, it was us at the African National Congress who said we want to establish an internal mechanism to investigate. That is water now under the bridge of what happened.
Okay, isn't the leadership race going to overshadow this policy conference?
We don't have an item called leadership. Election.
But the reality is, people are going to be seeing what songs are going to be sung. They're going to see how people react when Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma walks into the conference. All of those kinds of things become the real deal, actually, in terms of people there. Because policy, as much as we talk and debate about it, I think the interest now has shifted, particularly when even the President has already pronounced who his preferred candidate is.
No, we don't think. I mean, we're quite confident about the political discipline displayed by our structures over the past weekend. You would have noticed that a number of provinces went to their policy conferences and the PGCs. The amount of optimum discipline displayed is what we expect, because we don't have an item called election at the policy conference. The policy conference doesn't have powers to elect or to remove anybody, because it doesn't have any, in terms of the provisions of the Constitution. What we expect of our members, among others, Amanda, is to appreciate that at this time we need unity of the African National Congress. And I think that unity displayed by provinces is what we expect. And we expect that nothing else, to focus on the policies of the African National Congress. And we need their maximum energy to focus on the policies of the African National Congress. We have no doubt that issue will not even arise at the policy conference.
Judicial overreach, is that going to come up as a discussion point? We heard the SG talking about it.
It will be the issue arising out of the diagnostic report of the African National Congress presented by the Secretary General.
Why? Why is it even an item?
No, there is no item on the agenda.
No, but why even discuss it?
No, it will be in the context of what is the manifestation of judicial overreach. Our view is that when we are not doing what we are expected to do as a governing party, whether as an executive, in terms of executive functions, the judiciary as a final arbiter would have, in some instances, will direct us to do what we are supposed to do. And we think there are certain things we must do right in order to avoid that, because we can't be directed by the judiciary to do what we are supposed to do, both as a government, but also as a governing party.
Have you any instances whatsoever where you've said the judges erred?
Well, there are instances. I mean, the Valley instance, Judge Valley instance, for example, we think that issue which the President has taken to court, judges are human beings. And I think we must appreciate that. In some instances, they may make an error. That's why our jurisprudence, in terms of its principles, it does create a recourse where you are not happy. And in many instances, that's why judgments of a lower court are overturned by upper courts, precisely because there might have been an error, and a human error sometimes.
All right, let's talk again about policy. And this whole thing of radical economic transformation, we see now Treasurer General Mkhize meeting with various sectors to try and explain and calm people down, because there's great fear. Are we going to get clarity after this weekend about what these policies are and what they mean, so that there isn't this fear that people seem to be having in the marketplace in private sector?
Radical economic transformation is a program of the African National Congress, and we must forge ahead unapologetic about it without being irresponsible and reckless about it. What we decided in Mangaung, that the second phase of our transition, the overarching program, is to change the economy, because what we appreciated is that the first phase of our freedom was characterized by political freedom, and therefore we must use now all levers of power, including legislature, including powers that we have in the executive, to transform the economy, because political power without economic freedom is meaningless. And therefore we must transform our economy. We can't be happy 23 years on that the economy, in terms of its structure, institution, its management, its control, is still in the hands of the few white men.
Why is it that you don't talk about the National Development Plan? Why is it that we have to call it different things? Will the National Development Plan not deliver radical economic transformation?
It will. That's why there's a specific item on the program which the SG will unveil noon today. There's an item about 2 hours. We are to talk about our work in relation to implementing the vision of the NTP, including the progress we have made, to what an extent our program in terms of addressing the vision of the NTP will realize the strategic objective of the National Democratic Revolution. So it is part of a discussion, because it assists us in terms of monitoring our work, in terms of implementing the vision and the manifesto of the African National Congress. At the same time, the NTP, as it will be presented tomorrow, it will guide us on some of the things that we must do and not do.
So how do you convince people that you are going to come out with a united voice here? Because even just the radical economic transformation, we're hearing some leaders discounted, saying that it's a smokescreen, and other leaders saying this is the policy of the African National Congress. We are there watching this play out, and we're not sure what to think, because you're saying different things about the same item.
The ANC is like a living organism. It is influenced by both internal and external factors, and its ability to live for 105 years is not to resist the influence, both internally and externally. And therefore, as a robust and a democratic organization, sometimes when you hear different voices, it's not because people are disunited, but because of its character and the nature. That is a democratic organization that allows robust engagement. At the end of this conference, therefore, it must emerge with one voice on the issues of the land. It must be unapologetic about redistribution of the land, transformation of the economy. We have negotiated transformation for the past 23 years. There's no time to negotiate transformation now. The issue is that we must implement transformation, but that implementation must be responsible and not to be reckless at the effect of the economy.
All right, that's where we're going to have to leave it. But we thank you very much indeed for giving us this time ahead of this all-important ANC policy conference. Thank you very much, National Spokesperson Zizi Kodwa. All right, let's catch you up with the